would like to introduce Walter. Walter is my mentor. He's got me my own television show. I met him at a couple years ago. We were having a panel discussion on how to self-publish your own book, and he came to learn about how to self-publish. And he stood up and said, if anybody would like their own television show, and I was there before he sat down almost to get his card. So he got me started on my own television show, and I got him started with books. So I'd like to introduce him. He is very, very qualified to talk about how to actually use social media. Walter Davis.
I got a little bit of a clap. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, we've got a lot of information to cover. I'm not going to try to answer all of your questions tonight. We're going to have some follow-up webinars to go in more in-depth situations in terms of your own personal applications. But what I want to do is make you aware of some of the recent information and changes that are currently trending. And there's some pretty fascinating information out here. Sort of wet your whistle in terms of getting a perception of what's available with social media. For some of you, you're more advanced. Some of you, you don't know as much about social media. So some of the information will be new to you. So I'm going to be having Jeff Beulah, hopefully, join us from Australia. I'm waiting for him to come aboard. That's one of the reasons I was waiting. He had a presentation to go to in Sydney. I talked to him when he was in Kuwait over the weekend, and he's really a nice man. He's going to be coming here, in fact, in April and staying at my house. So if you want a chance to meet one of the top executive coaches, one of the top authors on social media, then get in touch with me, and there may be a chance for you to meet Jeff personally. Hopefully we'll get him on board from Australia here later on tonight. So you got a sheet of paper with a method to take notes. So if you have any questions, please write those down, and then we'll try to address those toward the end of the presentation. I'd like to just sort of go through the slides first to give you the breadth, because if I'm interrupted, then we won't get to a lot of information. So this way, we'll cover a lot of data, and then we'll entertain some questions. Is that a deal? All right. All right, all right. So social media is one of the most, now bear with me, I'm engineer, I'm running an internet broadcast on 2 channels right now. I'm the TV director, and I'm the PowerPoint person and a presenter at the same time. So, and I have a terrible allergy right now, so if I cough, I apologize in advance. I'm not contagious. Okay. Thanks, Art. That's the right answer. Thank you very much. You can got a special door prize for you. Okay, so I took the meat of this report from Jeff Beulah's work. Now, you can get on board his email list, and every couple of days he sends out some really great information. And I did a couple of reports, and I kept seeing that every time I was doing my reports, I was using Jeff Beulah as a reference. And so I decided to send him an email and say, would you mind doing a presentation with me? And then that's when I found out he was coming to the United States to visit for a major social media network conference in San Diego in the beginning of July. I believe it's April, excuse me. It's the 7th through the 10th he's going to be here. So again, this is one of the top people in the social media industry. So I actually combined 2 of his reports to come up with 120 significant and fascinating social media facts, figures, and statistics. So the sources for this are my webcast, integrating social media with the web to make money, and jeffbeulahs.com, that's his website, and Marilyn McLeod's book, Social Media for Beginners, and Social Media Overview. So, first question, why use social media? Well, it's cost effective, very inexpensive. It can help you target your audience. So there's certain websites that I'm going to show you, like Pinterest, for example, that are focused on by mostly women. Google Plus, for example, is focused on mostly by males. So I'm going to give you some data on that. It gives you flexibility. So if you have a television commercial, right, you don't have as much flexibility because it's going to depend on how much money you're going to spend, what time it comes on, what kind of show is it going to come on. So you don't have as much flexibility with conventional media as you do with social media. And you can obtain immediate feedback. When Sunday morning is the best time to post on Facebook. When I post on my blogs, and I post on my blog first, and then I post that onto Facebook, you can sit there and watch my Google Analytics. The arrow just starts going up from 50, 100, 200, 300 viewers, because it gives you a report every hour in terms of who's watching or looking at your blog post. So you get immediate feedback in terms of what's working for you. Okay, social media and inbound marketing techniques has been a boon for marketers. The leads for social media cost half as much as traditional methods. I have an insurance brokerage, so each one of the leads that I got was about $6 a piece. Now, I can go on to Facebook and Twitter and I can find leads, and the only thing it's costing me is the bandwidth that I'm paying for my internet. I'm paying for anyway. So effectively, the cost of the leads using social media are half or less of what they are using traditional methods, and the leads convert to sales at a higher rate than traditional leads do. So there is a research dynamic. Buyers can use social media to research products and services, and marketers can also use the same tools to research. So both entities are using social media. Your customers are using social media, and people that are trying to sell things are using social media as well. When's the last time you guys use a phone book? I mean, most people don't use a phone book, right? You see that thing come, you get mad. I get mad when I see it come. What? Wasting all those trees, and then I got this phone book. I remember I used to carry one in my car. I thought I was more sophisticated when I carried my phone. That was my drunk voice, by the way. No. But anyway, I would carry this phone book in the trunk of my car. And when I wanted to find a florist or anything else, I had to go get my phone book out of my car. I remember being in the rain trying to find something. It was my phone book. But now you got to have a mobile app, right? You can make reservations with your mobile app. What are some of the things you've done with mobile apps, you guys? Find any place. Anybody make reservations? And then anybody get those things from Chili's, right? Those coupons that says, you know, you get a free entree with this coupon. I've taken my smartphone into the Chili's and showed them the email that had my coupon, and they took it. I didn't have to, you know, print a whole bunch of coupons. I used to have those little, what do you call it? Those little expandable files. I put all my coupons. I was real sophisticated, right? I carry all that paper around in my car. So it's actually been a lot easier for me. And guess what? Young people, they're 87% of them are using mobile apps. You don't have a mobile app, you're going to be out of business, because these are going to be the people that are 40 and 50 in the next couple of years. And if you don't have a mobile app, then you're not going to be in business if you're not using social media. Okay, so marketers can use the same tools to research buyers' needs and wants, their competition. You can see what your competition is doing. I remember seeing that people doing webcasts like mine were charging $4,000 a minute. I thought that was ridiculous, right? And then I can see social media trends. There are certain trends that are changing. For example, the majority of users on Facebook now are not in this country. They're outside of the country, for example. So it gives you a perspective of what's happening internationally. Okay, so what are the research questions you should be asking yourself? Well, of course, what social media networks work best for you? What's the most effective network for you to use? What are the best available marketing techniques to generate the highest close ratio? In other words, what's going to give you the most bang for the buck? What are the best days of the week to post? Okay, again, Sunday morning. So I try to get my marketing campaign together during the week and have it ready on Friday, because guess what? It's Sunday morning in Russia and Australia on Saturday here, see? So I am posting on Saturday night late and early in the morning on Sunday morning.
Just Facebook or all?
So that's specific to Facebook. But you need to be looking at the other sites, because there are more than 325 social media websites besides Facebook. What geographical areas produce the best leads for your services? Right now, Europe, people in South Africa say they never miss my shows. The most views I get on YouTube are from Africa. I have a wide audience in Russia and China and France now, because I covered some stories about corruption within the Child Protective Services in those countries. And so I have a wide viewership in those countries right now. Okay, so let's go further here. How do you develop synergy? Well, I get other people to market for me. So on Facebook, when people started seeing my stories on human rights and social justice and the environment, these people built pages for me on Facebook. Stories for Walter Davis, videos for Walter Davis. They started building and submitting footage to me to go into this movie that I was working on called Lawless America. So they were marketing my services for me. Today, I posted on Facebook I was going to be doing this, and people took that and I saw share. People started sharing the invitation. So people are watching right now on internet television that received an invitation because someone on Facebook shared my link. Connect with others who are in touch with your clients. So for example, for my health insurance business, I knew that financial officers in hospitals were the people that were in contact with people who did not have insurance. And people who own a business can get an HMO plan no matter what their health condition is. So these financial officers call me and give me leads to people that need health insurance. So you need to be in touch with the people that are in touch with your clients. Develop relationships. I don't just meet people on Facebook and like them and send them a little message. I actually arrange to meet them on Google+. This is going on Google+ right now, by the way. And I send them an email. I do a teleconference with them. I meet them face to face for a cup of coffee or something like that to establish a relationship. You also have to develop a sense of urgency. You cannot tell people, or, lackadaisical when you get around to it. We actually, Marilyn and I now have this software that has a clock and it counts down. It says people will get $100 off and you've got, 7 hours to purchase this particular item, or the sale is going to be off in 7 hours. And people hate to be left out. So they will buy just to keep from being left out. And this software just really gets them. It works very effectively. A lot of companies use it, have increased their sales by what percentage? 40%, Marilyn? Okay, so you want to develop a sense of urgency. Don't just leave it out there for them to decide when they're going to buy your service. And then give away and then take it away. I give away webinars for free and then I take them away. I say this webinar is going to be free for this period of time, and then once that period of time is elapsed, I put a password on it so people can't watch it anymore. I think I skipped one here. I did. Okay, and you want to also be redundant. So what that means is that you want to put the same message out over and over again. So what I do is I post something on one of my blogs, and then I take the blog post and I put that on Facebook. I put that on Twitter. I put that on Google+. Because what is that going to do? That's going to draw people back to my blog. They're then going to see my other works that I've done for years in the past. You see what I'm saying? So it makes it very convenient. Make yourself a video introduction. That way you can just post that on Facebook. You can just post it on Twitter. And if you have 100 people that you meet in one day, you can post that one video over and over and over again. You see what I'm saying? Without having to type, this is who I am, this is my business, this is what I'm all about, this is my price list. I've got instructions on how to prepare for an interview. I've got that already made out on a video. So the first thing people are going to ask me is, how do I get ready for a radio interview? I've got the phone number, the website that they go to, everything is on a video so that it's redundant, okay? All right. Be informative. You want to give people information that's going to help them. So for example, one of the primary complaints I get is that I can't watch the video. Well, most times people can't watch the video because their computers are not tuned up properly. So they haven't emptied their temporary internet file. They don't have media player. They don't have Java. So I actually give those webinars for free, right? Because that's going to help them watch my video. And then they're thankful because their computers are going to operate faster. It's going to be more efficient, and they're going to be able to use the video. So be informative, demonstrate resourcefulness. So one of the things that I'm doing is I am promoting Jeff Bullis, even though, you know, he's in the social network market like I am, but he has a lot of resources that I don't have. So I'm promoting him in his book. He's then helping me. This man has 140,000 followers on Twitter and gets more than 30 million hits every single week on his website. I want to learn how to do that too. So I'm going to show him how to do internet broadcast. Okay, and so you want to improve your user's experience. Like I just said, you want to make sure that your users can watch your video, right? So that there's something called a social login. What that means is that I can sign in to other social media websites using my Facebook identity, right? You don't want to keep creating a profile for every single social media site that you go to. There's 325 of them, right? Your clients don't want to do that. So Google has a function where people can just sign in with their Google profile, and then if you make your website compatible so that people can then sign into your network utilizing their Facebook identity and or their Google Plus identity, you will improve their user experience. You don't want people to have to build a separate profile just to come into your social media network. So people that come on to my blogs, they can come onto my blog using their Facebook, but they can come on using their Google identity. See what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Okay. 86% of people say they are bothered by the need to create new accounts and websites. And I know that, isn't it really a pain to have to remember all of these different passwords and user IDs? So imagine if you're able to cut down your client's frustration by allowing them to sign on to your blog or your website or your social network utilizing Facebook or Google. They're already using that, right? So they might as well be able to sign in, okay? Okay, so leaders need to be involved. Okay, I'm multitasking here, forgive me. Top executives need to be involved in social media. 77% of buyers say they are more likely to buy from a company whose CEO uses social media. So I go on and interact with people, you know, like Oprah Winfrey. She's on Twitter. There's a lot of different CEOs of companies that are involved on Facebook. And so you can actually interact with the CEOs of these companies. So you want to be available to interact with your customers just as well. 82% of employees say they trust the company more when the CEO and leadership team communicate via social media. So you can also communicate with your employees via social media in terms of what are the trends, what are the things coming out. Like MCAI, we've got a Facebook page. We have a blog in which people can blog on, for example. Okay, and so the next one is you want to connect online, okay? Engage your audience. Automate with videos. Introduce yourself. Give overview of your services. Do you want to keep typing and explaining your services over and over again when you start meeting hundreds of people? No. Answer common questions. Develop a video that answers the questions that people ask. What do people want to know? How much it costs, right? What else do they want to know? What are things they ask all of us? What do you do? What else? When are you available? What else?
Are you successful at what you're doing?
Are you successful? Sure. What else? What do people ask you all the time when they want your service?
How much price?
How much is it, right? So answer those kinds of questions with videos, and I save them in the notepad section on Yahoo, so I can just go to it no matter what computer I'm on, copy and paste that into a tweet, copy and paste that into an email, copy and paste it into Facebook or my blog. Okay. Then you want to give them options for closing. Can they pay by credit card? Can they pay by check? Do they have to mail the payment in? What are the options for making a payment? Make sure that's very clear to people. And then follow up, right? You want to follow up with people to make sure that they understand and that they utilize your services properly. Okay, companies of 1,000 employees or more on the average have 178 social media assets, yet only 25% offer social media training. So there's a very low rate of training right now with companies in terms of social media. So that's an avenue. You know, how many of you guys know people or have someone with this 20 or 30 something year old person sleeping on your couch, right? They're real good online, but guess what? They can make $2,500 a month and more being managers of social media accounts. They can take that thing that they're doing just messing around on the computer and turn that into a workable skill. I have a course available, send them to me. I'll be glad to train them how they can become effective social media managers. And you'd be surprised at that little playing around, playing games they're doing, just how they can translate that into a real business. And you can too, for that matter. Okay, so when we're looking at blogging is very effective. Social media and blogs reach 80% of all United States internet users. Social networks and blogs account for 23% of all time spent online. Increased blogging correlates with increased customer acquisition. What that means is that you can bring to the forefront new technologies and new services that you have in your company, and you can engage the people, your clients, right? You can answer questions, you can interact with them. What kind of problems are they having? You know, these are the kinds of things that will come out in the blogs, and so you can monitor in real time how your services are having an impact on people. Okay, and bloggers. 92% of bloggers who posted multiple times per day acquired a customer. Again, I post many times throughout the day. I tweet many times throughout the day, and I post on Facebook many times throughout the day. It's best for me, it's more efficient for me to post on my blog, because as soon as I post on my blog, it goes into Google Plus and it goes out to several of my networks at one time. So that's what you want to do, is to be efficient. So you post one place and it goes to 17 places. So if you have 5 places like that, then suddenly by posting 5 times, your post goes out to 100 locations. Does that make sense? 66% of bloggers who posted monthly acquired a customer. 43% of bloggers who posted less than monthly acquired a customer. So even if you just did it once a month or less than a month, you can acquire a customer, right? So the more active you are on blogging, the more likely you are to acquire customers. Okay, video. 52% of business-to-business marketers use video as part of their content marketing mix. High-end animated videos cost $20,000 to $30,000. Simpler interview-type videos can be under $1,000, and common 2 to 3 minute videos, live action and simple animation, $2,000 to $5,000. So again, very economical, but this is also an announcement to people, you know, that have been in the video business for a long time, that you're missing a large segment of the new business coming if you're not addressing customers within that category. Okay, let's go into YouTube now. YouTube, it involves communication and engagement, which is much more than talking and writing. Viral marketing augments traditional marketing, such as television. So in other words, you can find Alisa shows, my shows, Marilyn shows on DirecTV. We're on satellite TV. If you post on YouTube, there's a way to get on DirecTV. DirecTV reaches 30 million people throughout the country. YouTube is always available, and YouTube is available on satellite TV networks like DirecTV. It's available on demand, so it doesn't go off, right? If you have a commercial on a regular television channel that comes on at 8 o'clock in the morning, well, that commercial is gone. But on YouTube, your commercial or your video is up 24/7. Okay, let's go into some YouTube facts here. Am I going at a nice speed? Too fast, too slow? I don't see too many people dozing off yet. So. Okay, YouTube facts. It's the third most visited website. There are 2 billion views per day. Handles 10% of internet traffic. Average user spends 900 seconds per day on YouTube. 44% of users are aged between 12 and 34, which means that these same users are going to be 22 and 44 10 years from now. You see where that's going? Over 829,000 videos are uploaded every day. The average video duration is 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Okay, let's go to Google Plus. Now, this is a very exciting development here. And again, what we're doing right now is we're broadcasting on Google Plus. So this screen that you're seeing right now is going out over the internet, and I can support up to 100 people watching, and 10 people can participate from anywhere in the world. So when I conducted the interviews that I did of the Russian and French citizens, I used Google Plus. You can interview people from anywhere in the world utilizing Google Plus. Okay? Expected to surpass 400 million users this year. Launched 28 June 2011. Had 10 million users by 14 July. Right? See that? 10 million users. And just over a month and a half. 67% of users are male. So if you're targeting a male audience, there you go. YouTube is one of the avenues. Yeah, that's right. I knew that. I knew that. I have brain damage. Yes, even less. So it's even better than what I said. It's what he said. Okay. The Google Plus button is used 5 billion times a day. 5 billion times. Anybody use that besides me? It's like a little cross up into the right-hand corner you put up on your navigation bar. You just hit that, and you can share whatever that page is with anybody that you want to share with. So if you want to share a website with someone, make sure you get an account with Google, get a Google Plus button. It is gaining 625,000 users per day on Google Plus. That's a growing community. It connects with YouTube, and it connects with Android and the search. So my cell phone, my Android phone is connected. When I go out and I meet clients and they say, can you show me an example of your work? I just bring my smartphone up and I play one of my YouTube videos. Or I forward one of my YouTube videos to somebody if they want to see an example of what I've done. Okay, let's take a look at the top occupations that you'll find utilizing Google Plus. As you can see here on the top, you got students, right? So if you're trying to capture students to come into your production company or be involved with MCAI, then again, Google Plus is a place to go. Next to that is a software engineer, consultants, managers, and photographers. So if you're trying to target photographers, Google Plus is an excellent avenue for you to utilize to make contact with them. Teachers, marketing people, designers, professionals, and graphic designers round out the 10 top professions utilizing Google Plus. Let's take a look at the cities then in which Google Plus is more active in. Bangalore, New York, London, Hyderabad, and Los Angeles are the top cities involved in Google Plus. So if you have clients in those areas or you want to reach clients in those cities, and again, Google Plus is a great avenue for that. Chicago, Moscow, Calcutta, Houston, and San Francisco round out the top 10 cities that utilize Google Plus as a social media network. Let's go into Facebook for lead generation. Facebook is probably my second best lead generator besides Twitter. Most important lead generator for business to clients. 77% of marketers state they have acquired a customer on Facebook. 77%. Now, one of the great things about Facebook is that you can decide how much money you want to spend. You can set a cap. You can say, I only want to spend $50, $20, $10, whatever it is. And then once you reach that budget, then you can stop advertising. But I just build relationships with people. This is how I market myself. So let's go further and take a look at other Facebook facts. There are more than 850 million active users on Facebook. 250 million photos are uploaded daily. 425 million mobile users. Do you know that more people have mobile phones than toothbrushes in the world? It's serious. I'm serious.
It may not be desirable, but
Exactly. Yeah, really.
You go to the Middle East, they want to share the breath with you too. You ever have that happen? When you go to the Middle East, all the Arab guys are leaning over like this at you, and all the American guys are leaning back like that. They like to share the breath. Anybody ever experienced that? They have that garlic. Woo! So there are 100 billion connections on Facebook. 2.7 billion likes each and every day. Now that's a market for you, isn't it? And it's growing, and the young people are participating. So it's one of the most economical ways to market yourself. Okay, moving forward. Facebook user population percentage. More than 50% of North America. It's 174 million people. Nearly 30% of Europe, 223 million. 15% of the Caribbean, 6 million. More than 25% of Latin America, 142 million. Nearly 4% of Africa is involved in Facebook, 37 million. Nearly 9% of the Middle East, that's 18 million. And 4.7% of Asia, 184 million. And 38% of Oceania, Australia, 13 million involved on Facebook. Take a look at business to business. LinkedIn is the most effective tool to use on business to business. Now again, when you put up a LinkedIn profile, you want to make sure it's very professional, Art. Okay, none of that messing around and stuff, okay? 65% say they have acquired a customer on LinkedIn. Generates more leads than Facebook, Twitter, or blog. Only 47% of business-to-business companies using LinkedIn versus 90% are using Facebook. 47% using LinkedIn, 90% using Facebook. Okay. 1/3 of the global business-to-business buyers use social media to engage their vendors, and 75% expect to use social media in future purchases. So, business-to-business buyers use social media to engage vendors. 75% plan to use social media in future purchases. So that means that the more active your social media campaign is, the more effective you're going to be overall, based upon these stats here. And then moving forward to one of my favorites, and that's Twitter. Now, Jeff Bezos tweets every 15 minutes. every 15 minutes. There are services that will automatically tweet for you. You can load your tweets up in advance. And so that's what you want to do. You want to automate yourself. You want to make videos and just have them just go out automatically. That's why he has 140,000 followers. I noticed that when I start tweeting on a regular basis, my followers just start to grow exponentially. There are 1 million new accounts added every day to Twitter. The top 3 countries, United States at 108 million accounts, Brazil 34 million accounts, and Japan 30 million accounts on Twitter. LinkedIn, 2 new members every second join LinkedIn. USA leads membership with 57 million. Europe has more than 34 million members. It's a professional network. Fastest growing demographics are students and recent college graduates. Let's take a look at Meetup. Now, I've used Meetup for a long time and it's very effective. One of the best ways to establish relationships with clients face-to-face. Excellent interface with other social media network sites. You can even customize your t-shirts and caps and things like that for various events. You can print those things off for a special event. Like, you know, if we had Media Pro Camp, we could actually make all caps and t-shirts using the Meetup. You can have clients sponsor your site. So when I first started, I was charging sponsors like $25 a month just to put an advertisement up and to offer my members a perk. You know, something like 10% off at an acupuncture or chiropractic shop, something like that, auto mechanic, things like that. It allows you to communicate with thousands of people and you can target very specific groups. So that means that if you wanted to, if you were a videographer and you're doing a documentary on parents, then there are parental groups. So you can just go into these groups and meet mothers and fathers and things like that. So it allows you to target very specific groups. If you want to do a movie on the atheist community or the agnostic community, there are groups like that, or religious communities. So it allows you to look at very specific communities. And I get notifications every single day about new meetups that are starting all over the area. Okay, and Comment 5 is one of my strongest social media outlets. I've been using that for more than 8 years now. It allows you to automate your marketing campaign. You can send out to 200,000 video emails at one time. There's a texting campaign that you can get. Internet TV broadcast. It does web hosting and CSS5 and audio email. That's something I use very often. If I want to communicate with someone and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you know I'm not presentable in terms of the way that I'm dressed, I can just make an audio email and send it to them. Very effective. Blog Talk Radio. Some of you guys remember the show that we did with David Grantham. You know that I'm approaching more than 6,000 downloads of that on Blog Talk Radio. I exceed more than 20,000 downloads a month now on Blog Talk Radio. It's one of the most effective social media outlets that I have. It allows me to interview people from anywhere in the world. I can have up to 50 callers on at the same time. I'm about to upgrade, which will allow me to have up to 100 callers calling in and 10,000 downloads per broadcast. And that's $99 a month. It has a chat function. It's two-way. I have had people from Russia and France and Australia, New Zealand, Paris, all on the line at the same time. Okay, and so you can interview anyone virtually anywhere. Some of you guys remember I had that gentleman from New York, the composer, one of those years, 2 years ago, and I had him come on Blog Talk Radio. Remember that? We had him talking and we were playing his music and we were interacting with this gentleman from New York that was a composer. We did that in one of our meetings here. It is smartphone compatible. My listenership on smartphones is increasing exponentially now. And it allows Skype call-in, so people can call in without paying any type of long distance or using any of their cell phone minutes to call into the radio broadcast. This is a powerful thing. I ignored it for the first 2 years that I had it, but I'm laser focused on Blog Talk Radio. I highly recommend if you have international connections or people right here in the States or in the local area, this is an excellent way to conduct interviews. One of the things I do is I turn my videos into audio files and then upload my audio files into my radio channel. You can play music like a regular radio channel. You can get composers to give you rights to their music or what have you. And you can actually play music, go back, do a news story, play some more music just like a regular channel, and you can get people to sponsor your show just as well. Okay. Somebody was asking about Pinterest, so we'll talk about Pinterest if I can get this thing to move over here on my other broadcast. Pinterest has been a pretty phenomenal thing. It was established in December of 2009. Became one of the top 10 social networks December 2011 with 11 million visits per week. So in just 2 years. Am I right now on 2 years, right? Okay, 2 years. I got Dame Bremich, I got to check. 11 million visits per week. The fastest site in history to break through the 10 million unique visitor mark. 97% of fans are women. It raised $37.5 million in funding since October of 2011. Not too bad, right? Huh?
2 months.
Okay. Okay, so here is contact information, and again, that's also on those handout sheets you have. And we got Jeff Beulah's address. Hopefully he will come, or he's not on now. I don't know. I'll check and see here in a minute. And I'm going to turn this over to you to ask questions at this point, and I want to encourage everyone to join MCAI. So, was that worth your time? Did you get a lot out of that? Yes, sir.
Okay. So good to chat to you all. In your was it Wednesday evening in the West Coast there?
Yes.
So
it is.
Yeah, I wanted to tell a little bit about, I suppose, my story is that to give you some context before I give you an idea of what blogging is about. Can you hear me okay there?
Yes, we can. Yes, go ahead.
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I started on Facebook first, and then I got onto Twitter, and then I started a blog about 6 months later. So, it's come down to really creating content regularly and building followers as well. So there's really two things to do from a blogging point of view, and that's actually to create content that's not about you, but solves people's problems and helps them. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear.
Okay. Okay, great. So what I learned early on was that by creating content, you engage with people, and then, because it's not about selling first, it's actually about helping people and creating a lot of free content. In fact, you look at creating so much content that you attract people to you. So it's not selling, it's about engaging with people. So I started blogging, I started writing an article about once or twice a week, then I increased it to 3 or 4 times a week, and generally now it's 4 to 5 times a week I create content. And what I did is I used social media to distribute that content. So I used Twitter. I discovered Twitter was a very powerful way of actually connecting with people globally. And on top of that, it's Facebook as well. And Twitter actually is a very good tool for finding followers that are interested in the same topics as you are. So essentially there's two things you need to do. You need to create content that solves people's problems, entertains them, informs them, educates them, and maybe even inspires them. And on top of that, then you also need to be building followers that you can then distribute that content to. And then the power of social media comes down to is your followers then will share your content. The better it is, the more they will share it. And that's really it, simply. So you need to be creating content that talks to the audience that you want to talk to. And it's something you need to work at. Now the other thing too is that Google Plus was created as well, and Google actually collects social signals. So if people go looking for information about you, you should be working on content that Google likes, and also people will be sharing on Google Plus. You need to be communicating content that is in a variety of media. It could be YouTube, it could be articles, it could be images, it could be infographics. So you need to be creating information that communicates to people in different ways, because everyone's got their own preferences. Younger people prefer YouTube videos rather than maybe reading an article. So you can create the same piece of content in a variety of ways. You even can put it into a PowerPoint presentation. You can put it into an article. You can turn it into a podcast. You can turn it into a YouTube video. So you need to be constantly creating content and then repurposing it and putting it into a variety of media. Are there any questions by anyone?
Go ahead.
Hey there, Jeff. Thanks for being with us. One quick question I have is, you say you create so much free content. At which point do you, are you monetizing it? Is there some back-end service you're creating that you're ultimately driving into? And how do you create that balance between, giving away too much and, keeping some for monetization?
Okay. Typically a blog article is it's like a snack. It's like I suppose a small sample of what you are good at or what you can communicate. So yes, so you need to be creating free content, but at some point you've got to monetize it. So what you do then is you can turn that content and package it. Now that content can be packaged into a variety of media. It could be a book on Kindle, or it could be a paperback. It could be an online course, which could be a YouTube, could be a video course, or which is actually topped up with articles and so on. You can also monetize by packaging that content into presentations that you actually go and speak to people and get paid for it. So I do that. I use the book, and I'm in the middle of actually creating an online course or courses that will help people use social media, help them with blogging, help them to actually in creating content. So you need to, yes, build up your content, which is free. You need to be building up followers, but you also need to be having something to sell.
Hi, Jeff. I'm curious about some of the information we heard earlier, and I noticed that there were, in very few of the slides, if any of them, was the mention of China. I saw Japan and other countries, and China's got the most people in the whole world. So I'm wondering if, what can you say about that market?
Okay. China actually is a bit of it's closed itself to a lot of the, I suppose, Western social media platforms such as Facebook. It's actually got its own social media platforms, which are essentially a bit like Facebook, a bit like Twitter. So China actually has the largest internet audience in the world, but they've closed themselves off to a lot of Western social networks. So they've got their own social networks. So it's hard to reach a Chinese market with what I call Western and advanced country social networks.
Jeff. You've mentioned Twitter, Facebook, Google+, blog. Can you tell me where LinkedIn fits into the landscape from your perspective?
Yes, LinkedIn's more a business to business, because as the world's largest professional network, it's a very good social network for communicating for B2B and also for networking. And that's its main strength, in that you can do research about people online on LinkedIn, see what their background is, what they're interested in. So if you want to message with them on LinkedIn, you can. It's not a B2C marketing network, it's a B2B marketing network. And it's a great way of actually taking what I call weak ties, which is basically connecting or communicating on LinkedIn and turning them into strong ties, maybe arranging a meeting face-to-face. So LinkedIn's very much a business-to-business social network that's aimed at professionals in the knowledge industry.
Hi, Jeff. Question about frequency. I mean, you're talking about all these things. How often would it be, in your idea, to use the blog or put out information or content creation or whatever do you think is efficient?
Okay, it's really how long's a piece of string, but in one sense, the more content you create, the better it is. I blog 4 to 5 times a week, and I tweet, but on Twitter I will tweet every 15 minutes. Some people would say that's maybe too much, but I've found it's worked very, very well for me. I'm not tweeting, buy from me. I'm actually tweeting content that helps people. So some people certainly don't tweet once a day. That's not going to be enough. On Facebook, you could be posting content maybe 4 or 5, 6 times a day. On something like LinkedIn, you might be participating or update maybe a couple of times a day, 2 or 3 times a day. So it depends on the platform. But what you've got to do with your blog is treat it as your hub. That's what you own. So if you have your own domain name, you actually create your content there and then publish it out onto all the social networks, because the blog is something that you own. You only are basically renting space, if you like, on Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn, because you operate under their terms and conditions. I heard a story recently about, it was in Australia, that a Facebook page with 700,000 users was just shut down with very little notice. So you've got to create what I call a hub and outpost model, where you create your content and publish it at your central blog, and then put it out onto your social networks.
This is Vern here. Question: the secret to all of the social networking is for it to go viral. If you really want to have a huge reach, is to get it to go viral, which through Twitter, I guess, includes retweeting things. But on a blog, if you're doing a blog and you're publishing a blog, to get others to pick up your blog and continue the blog and send it to others, is it just a matter of valuable content, or is there a secret to getting the blog published in other places?
Okay, something going viral is sometimes more good luck than good management. And viral is a very interesting word. Viral sort of means that it becomes huge and you get millions of users or millions of viewers. Viral can be something that's picked up by, let's say, an article is put on Washington Post or a blog on the New York Times, and you might find you can get 1,000 hits or 2,000 readers, and you're only getting 100 yesterday. So I'd be careful with the word viral. Viral is a word that is, millions of people. A lot of people think it's millions of users, but that tends to be lucky. In other words, it could be content that's picked up by mass media, and then it's picked up by other media. For an example, what happened is there was a campaign done by Old Spice, and they created a YouTube video that was also basically put up as a 30-second or 15-second ad on mass media. So it was a very good ad, but it was also on YouTube, but they also used Twitter. So typically something that goes viral is powered by not just social media, but by mass media, just like Gangnam Style. The two together, that's when it goes viral, when we're talking millions of hits. But the better your content, the bigger your networks, the more chance you get for it to be picked up, for it to get a lot of traffic.
This is all really new to me. I really do understand LinkedIn. In fact, I enjoy LinkedIn. I enjoy the business-to-business professional content. I've just recently started blogging, and I'm kind of slow going at it, but I'm starting to do it a little bit. I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand the point of Twitter. I mean, I tweet, but I can't imagine tweeting every 15 minutes. Is Twitter something that goes out to the whole world? I'm not sure. What is the point of Twitter? I don't quite get it.
Okay, the question you ask, what's the point about Twitter, is actually very often asked. So you're not alone. Twitter, I'll tell you a technique that I use for Twitter that I find very, very powerful. In that, what I do is I create content on my blog. Now, what I do on that, then I tweet that content. So Twitter's not just about tweeting what I had for breakfast or I'm going out for lunch. All right? What I do with Twitter is I find out some of the influencers in my industry. And for one of them, for example, is Chris Brogan. And I use a tool called Tweepy, T-W-E-E-P-I, and I can actually put in his Twitter name into Tweepy, and up will come his followers. And what I do is I then follow his followers. And what works then is, because I've got content on my site that's relevant to social media, and I follow some of his followers, I can follow them one at a time, or with Tweepy actually can follow up to 40 at a time. The law of reciprocation cuts in. So if you follow someone, whether it's on Facebook or whether it's on Twitter, there's a law of reciprocation cuts in. In other words, if someone follows you, go, well, gee, should I follow them back? So you check them out, you say, oh, they've got some interesting content on their site. Yeah, I'll follow him back. So you can build what I call a targeted tribe on Twitter that is interested in the topic of choice that you are participating in online. And that's where the real power of Twitter comes in that as you build a tribe of followers on Twitter that's interested in the same topic as you are. So I tweet regularly, but with links to content that people value.
I'm a little lost on Pinterest?
Pinterest.
Completely.
You do well. Okay. Pinterest. Okay. Think of Pinterest as an online pin board. All right. What you do is you create boards that are topics, if you like. So, if you were a chef or let's say fashion site, what you do is on your fashion Pinterest account you would have a board for beautiful evening gowns. Then you would have another board for lovely tops. Then you would have another one for pantsuits. You have another one for lovely handbags. And what you do is you pin beautiful images to your Pinterest account, to that board that are arranged in categories. All right? So Pinterest is an online pin board that is best done to arrange in categories. So let's say that you're a fashion store. You would have a range of categories that I've just mentioned. You would upload from your online store, if you like, images to your Pinterest account, when you upload them, they actually link to your online store. So when people go to Pinterest, they can click on the image and it takes them to the product on your online store. And guess what? People can buy once they land on that page. So there's a fashion boutique in the United Kingdom that actually has a Pinterest account, and 10% of its sales are from the Pinterest account, because people go to the Pinterest account, see the lovely images, click on the images, and it takes them through to Botica's online store, and that's when they can buy. Does that make some sense? So I'll just, I suppose, expand a little bit further. So Pinterest is very visual. So any product that is visual, such as food, fashion, does very, very well on Pinterest. But on the other hand, I have a Pinterest account with about 3,500 followers, and I upload images which I put into my blog posts, and people can click through and read my blog post because they find that it's a great image which has an interesting headline on it. So I even use Pinterest.
Hello, my name is Elise Smith Cooper, and I want to know what kind of food you like to eat. Where would you like to go when you come to San Diego? I live in San Diego. I'd love to see you have a good time.
I love Asian food. I love Indian food. I love Thai food. Yeah, that's a good start, isn't it?
You betcha. We got some great restaurants. I hope I'll get a chance to meet you when you come, so you can have a good time when you get here.
Okay, look forward
Blessings to you.
Jeff, I've got a question about LinkedIn and Facebook. I've got a lot of friends of friends, and relatives who've friended me on Facebook, and I originally thought that wanted to use it more for business. I also happen to have a lot of business associates who have friended me on Facebook. And the LinkedIn has started, which I started more for business, is now got friends of friends who are not necessarily in the business. For instance, we're in the television business, but I've got real estate agents wanting to connect with me. And of course, I just ignore them all. But the real question is, do I need to have separate accounts for business and personal on Facebook and LinkedIn?
Okay. I'll answer the one about Facebook first. On Facebook, you need to have two types of accounts. You need to have your personal account, which you can keep just your friends, and you can invite them, and you can keep it private. All right. The other one, which should be your public-facing, is a Facebook page. And that's your public-facing page, which can be your business page. And that's where you can publish your content and your information, images and videos that people in your industry would be interested in. And again, it's content that engages them first, that educates them, informs them about the latest news in your industry. You can have a bit of fun on it. Again, it's a social network, so you need to have fun. Okay, so you might put up a funny quote or a joke that's appropriate, of course. Quotes do very well on Facebook pages, so do images. In fact, 50% of all sharing is actually images on Facebook. Now, on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is a professional network. You can have a LinkedIn business account. I only have one because my resource is limited. I would suggest if you are a private individual, knowledge worker, professional, just a LinkedIn account. It's basically your online resume where you can network. That's how I use Facebook, and that's how I use LinkedIn. So on Facebook, you need to have a personal page and a business page.
I'm a photographer, and I'm just wondering, when I put my photos on Facebook, is it better to just have links to my main website than have my photos up on Facebook?
It's up to you, I suppose. The image is loading. You're afraid of copyright. Is that the issue?
Yeah, because I sell my photos, my landscapes.
Okay. Well, how do you protect them normally? Do you use watermarks?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So what you could do is, if you wanted to publish them, which could show how good they are, you could, I suppose, use watermarks, or you could link to your page which has watermarks on it. But on Facebook, you're going to get much more sharing done of your image if you actually publish it to Facebook, all right? And in a nice big... In fact, you might want to give away some images for free, if you know what I mean. Like, don't give them all away, but maybe give a few away, or post them up, because you want to show how good your images are, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need to be able to display your work some way and protect it. So I'm not an expert on photography on social media, but I'm sure if you Googled it, how to protect and how to participate, you could. But for you as a photographer, Pinterest would be absolutely fantastic for you.
Okay, thanks.
I have a question about the social media manager. It was suggested that we could actually have our lackadaisical adult children make money by becoming social media managers. So could you elaborate on that, please?
Okay. Yes, they could do that if they were responsible social media managers, because the challenge is that if you're looking or managing someone's social media account, you need to be appropriate. So you don't want someone putting out tweets that's not really appropriate for your brand or the voice of your brand. So you could, but they'd need to be given guidelines that need to be monitored to make sure they actually are doing the right thing. Another term for social media managers is quite often used is a community manager. And a community manager needs to be trusted, and they need to be given guidelines so that they know what to do in terms of managing a social media account on behalf of a business.
Any other questions? We got Jeff Bulis. No questions? Okay, we have one other question.
Yes, I do have another question, and that has to do with redundancy and the use of your blogs in other social media contexts. How do you make your website compatible with, say, Facebook or Google Plus? Is that something that you use?
What do you mean by compatible?
She means social media sign-in.
I'm speaking about social media sign-in, but I don't have all the language, so I'm getting coached here.
Right, okay. Social media sign-in, well, making it compatible, really, when I set up a Facebook account and I have a blog, for me to actually publish to Facebook, I don't need to do anything but take the link, and Facebook actually pulls the image if it's in my blog post and actually automatically posts it up. So it's actually quite easy. It's not very complex. And sometimes when you create new social network accounts, to actually ask for your Facebook or Twitter as a sign-in. So actually a lot of it's being done for you now. So it's actually quite simple. It's a bit hard to explain what we mean by that without actually sitting in front of a computer and actually showing it. But it's what's happening is social media is becoming much more integrated across all the platforms, and they're all linking to each other quite easily now.
I have a quick question in regards to LinkedIn in the free version versus their premium
Right.
paid version. What's your thoughts on that?
I still use the free version because I find that's quite effective. But if you are going to be a real serious user of LinkedIn, if it's your what I'd call your social network of choice, I would maybe go premium, because that way you can actually send email messages, or in-mail as they call it, to other people readily. So if you're comfortable on LinkedIn and that's your primary social network because it suits your business, I would certainly consider getting a premium version.
Just go back to the question that Elise, is that right? Elise asked a second ago about the social sign-in. Which ones are you using and have you used on your site? Do you basically just go with this, Facebook and I mean, it's the only one I really am aware of, Facebook and Google. There are other ones that you use that you find that work?
Okay. I'll tell you the ones that I use primarily. My blog is my online hub and home. Then I'm on have a Facebook page. I also have a Pinterest account where I basically pin the images from my blog. I also have an Instagram account where I capture images from conferences. I also have a LinkedIn account. I also have a YouTube channel. I also use SlideShare. Now, if you're doing business to business and you're doing presentations such as Walter's doing today, you would upload that to SlideShare, which is basically the YouTube of PowerPoint presentations. And that's actually quite powerful if you want to communicate a presentation visually to people. So they're my main ones. So, ask again.
Well, I guess that's really great. Thanks for sharing that. Actually, it gives me a little bit of insight. But I think the question I was really getting at was on your blog. I don't know if you have any particular sites where you have people that need to log in. But one of the things that we've been discussing here tonight was the idea of, social the login. When someone needs to log into your blog or whatever site you have, log in via Facebook, log in via Google. Is that not something you've worked with?
In terms of login, my Google account, I just log in. It's basically already set up. My blog is public and open, so you don't need to log into that.
Oh, okay.
My
So
Twitter account is. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My Twitter account
Some sites have, log in to access whatever information, and then there's like login via Facebook, login via Google. I guess that was what I was curious about.
Yeah. So in other words, you can actually log into some sites. They ask for either subscribe as an email or subscribe in via Facebook. Yep. So if you're going to
there's like APIs for it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to subscribe, if you basically want to log in from Facebook, of course, you've got to have a Facebook account.
Yeah, I think I can elaborate on that a little further. Basically, what I do with my blog is I have authors from all over the world that post on my blog. So I use my Google Plus profile. So I have them all create a Google Plus, which then allows them to log on as authors on my blog. And then I connected my Google Plus account, my Facebook account, and my Twitter account, so that I don't have to go and log on to Facebook. If I post something into my circles, it automatically goes into Facebook and it automatically goes on to Twitter, and vice versa. You see, so no, it's a function on Facebook, it's a function on Twitter, it's a function on Google Plus. So you create a Google Plus profile, and then you can just use that profile across platforms. And the same thing with Facebook. Once you have created a Facebook profile or a Twitter profile, that profile can then be used across platforms. So what I recommend for you, people just kind of starting out or just figuring this out, is just use Google Plus and have that thing be the one that functions across platforms.
What's that question I asked? I get all that. I already have all that.
Oh, okay.
You have a blog, and you want people to access specific content that's only available to certain users.
That's when I use Google Plus.
You do. I'm talking about, yeah. So you have login via Google Plus on your site for other users to log in via. Right. So you only use Google Plus and Facebook? I'm just trying to find out, like, is there one for Yahoo? Is there one for AOL that's popular, that's common?
Not that I'm aware of, because I do use Yahoo, and Yahoo is a cross-platform login ID thing. You can do that just as well with Yahoo.
Right. I'm just saying, some of my, for instance, some of my the blogs I'm going to be putting together, the audience is probably going to be people that are like, older audience that may have AOL accounts or Yahoo accounts, and I'm just wondering, is there for that if anybody uses it?
Well, I would recommend developing Google Plus circles. You can invite people into Google Plus even though they don't have a Google account. You can put them into your circle and just have them use Google Plus. That's what I would recommend. Across platforms, I think that would be the best approach. And also Facebook as well. For example, my Livestream account. I have an internet television account on Livestream, and that is something that's connected to Twitter and Facebook and Google. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but I have I'll see if I can find it.
Okay.
I think Jeff might have a comment he wants to make.
You have a comment, Jeff?
Yeah, it's when I get people to guest author on my blog, but I actually don't let them automatically log in. And that's a matter of policy. They send the article to me, I actually upload it because I want to control the quality of the actual publishing. So that's my approach, and I also manually publish to Facebook. And the reason I do that, again, is so I can put up a really great image that looks great on Facebook, because I have a priority in terms of my online publishing, especially my articles. Like, they're written well, they're structured well, they're optimized for search engines. So I control my key accounts in terms of the quality of publishing. You can automate publishing, and I do that on Twitter, but my core big accounts in terms of that are very visual. I actually control that closely.
And I do the same thing for some of my blogs, but for some, I do let people post on. And again, what I'm saying to you is that if you utilize Google Plus, it can work across platforms, such as people with Yahoo and AOL and those kind of things. They can still join your Google circle. That's what I would recommend.
Right.
I would just like to take a moment and thank Jeff for taking the time to be with us tonight. It's been wonderful to have you across the world and join us in our very own session here. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Jeff, did you want to add anything in closing?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Social media is something that is very, very powerful, but it will take time. So if you're starting up a blog and you're starting out on social networks, don't give up after a few weeks or a couple of months. It will take time. So you'll need to persist. But if you persist, add value to people's lives, then the magic will happen. I promise you.
Okay, we want to thank you very much for joining us, and I want to remind everyone that they can get Jeff's book on Amazon, and I encourage you all to sign up with his website at jeffbulas.com. That information is on the handouts that we've passed out. And Jeff, I'm looking forward to seeing you here in San Diego. We'll treat you with some real Southern California hospitality, Southern style. How about that?
That sounds great. Look forward to it.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Okay. Thank you.